It has been a great weekend, man, particularly Sunday. We had a full day of Premier League football. Manchester City lost. Liverpool beat Arsenal. Then we had Clash in Paris. Logan Paul lost. John Cena won. What a day. Then, to round off Sunday night, obviously being from the UK, this would have been Sunday night, but shout out to our American brother, Cusick. He's over in America on normal American time. We had our NFL Fantasy Draft for 2025. In today's video, I'm going to go through the draft and react to each of the picks as we go through, and you guys can see who we did pick. I did want to record the draft live, but just based on timings and the way it went with the boys to schedule it, we couldn't record it live, but we're going to go through the draft so everyone can keep up with it for this season. With the Nameless NFL show coming back, you don't want to miss a single episode of the Nameless NFL show this season, so make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And let's get into it, man. If this is your first time to the channel, like I say, I run a Nameless NFL show. That's because the channel is Nameless and the show we couldn't think of a name for, so we just called it the Nameless Show. Basically, what we do over there, we just talk about updates going on weekly through the season with the NFL, and also make predictions every single week for every single game. We do that over on ESPN, Pigskin Pick'em. You can sign up over there and join our league. Compete against the boys to see who knows ball. This is not sponsored. This is free of charge. This is just something we do for fun. But you basically just make an account, join the league. You get to see all the fixtures and you just pick what team you think is going to win. And then obviously you get a record of wins and losses. There'll be a link down below so you can join that league if you want to. And yeah, man, please do, because it's going to be very fun. And then you can stay tuned weekly with us. This video should be going out on Tuesday. Our week 1 predictions should be going out on Thursday, a few hours before the Cowboys game against the Eagles. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And yeah, man, I'm just so excited that football season is back, bro. This NFL draft on Sunday night turned out to be one of the funniest nights of my life. Stay tuned to the end to find out why. But one of us was getting clowned for a literal straight hour in Discord after the draft was finished because of the way they drafted. So stay tuned to find out what that's all about. I was literally in tears from some of the memes the boys were making. But let's introduce the draft order. So we didn't get to see the draft order until it started. Obviously, if you're familiar with how NFL drafts work, we didn't get to see who was the order. It was a random pick. The first team, the man with the first pick in the draft was that Abdul Carter LI. That is Tom, our friend who is a Giants fan, if you couldn't tell by the Abdul Carter name. I didn't ask him what the LI stood for in his name. It could be Roman numerals for 51. It could be LI for Love Island, maybe. Chat, is Love Island good? With the second overall pick, we have Bosa. I barely know her. Great reference there from Crabasite or Key. He is a 49ers fan, if you couldn't tell by the AI profile picture of him, his face on Nick Bosa's body. With the third overall pick in the 2025 Fantasy Football Draft, we have Love Is All You Need. That is Cusick, the Packers fan. Again, if you couldn't tell, I feel like everyone represented their team with their name and their profile picture. Apart from me, I was the 4th pick in the draft. I've got a picture of Aizen Sosuke as my profile picture for the team because Yokoso, Watashi no Soul Society, eh? We are the Nameless Dogs, because I just wanted to draft a team of dogs, bro. I don't care about winning this league or drafting the optimal fantasy draft and looking at AI and statistics and all of this bullshit. I just thought, let me pick my favorite players and let me pick some dogs. And my favorite players are pretty much all dogs. So we are the Nameless Dogs. I was speaking to Crabasite because me and him work together, and I was speaking to him in work, and I was saying, I've done one of these drafts before, but it's been about 10 years since I've played NFL Fantasy. 10 years, that's a blatant fucking lie. I'm only 24. It would have been, in fact, maybe it was 10 years. Oh my god, I'm getting old. Holy shit, bro. There was 10 years. All I remember was I had Drew Brees in my team. When did he retire? I don't know. I don't even want to check. But I do remember my last fantasy draft. I was the 4th pick. It was another 4-man league. There is only 4-man league, so we do all have very good teams. Spoilers. But yeah, I was the 4th pick in that draft 10 years ago. I'm putting an asterisk next to that. There's no way it was 10 years, but I like being 4th. I like being on the turn. It makes me feel like I'm in a position of power, getting to pick twice. Realistically, though, the number 1 pick is probably the best spot. You get the first pick, your first number 1 priority player you get to get. Then in the next round, you get a double pick. That's probably the better place to be than 4. But it was fun to get a double pick every time. So let's jump into it with the 101 pick. Giants fan Tom, who do you think he picked with the 101 as a Giants fan? He went with Saquon Barkley. He got Saquon Barkley. Of course he did. He wanted his boy to come back home, and with the 101, Tom picked up Saquon. I saw a lot of people saying Saquon's not a good pick. Even Krabasite at number 2 said Saquon's not his number 1 choice. So I don't know why, because he would have been my number 1 choice if he was still on the board. Obviously, me being 4th pick. He's gone with the 101. I couldn't do that. With the 102, he picked my number 1 draft option here, Ja'Marr Chase. I think that was an obvious first round pick right there. Probably going to be the highest scoring receiver this year in the NFL. And bro, me and Keith spoke in work. We had the discussion before the draft, and we came to the conclusion that both of our number 1 draft options was Ja'Marr Chase. So when I clicked load on the draft, I was just praying, fingers crossed, I'm before Key in the draft order so I can get Ja'Marr, and he doesn't. He was the 2nd pick. I was the 4th pick. He got Ja'Marr Chase. With the 3rd overall pick, Cusick went with Jahmyr Gibbs. Let me make a note right now. Cusick is a Green Bay Packers fan, picking number 1 player from his division rival, the Detroit Lions. I'm just saying. Packers fan picking a rival with the first pick? What are we doing here? Now, with me on the turn, Jahmyr Gibbs, solid pick, by the way. He was going to be my top running back option with Saquon being gone. So heading into the 4th pick, I didn't really know what to do. Obviously, I got a double. And with my first pick, I was considering a running back or wide receiver. Like I say, my top 3 number 1 round 1 options were Saquon Barkley, Ja'Marr Chase, and Jahmyr Gibbs. So all 3 of my top 3 options were gone already. You know, it's only a 4-man league, so obviously I'm going into it thinking I'm going to get every player that I want here. And literally my top 3 number 1 options were gone. So my number 1 wide receiver option outside of Ja'Marr Chase would have been CeeDee Lamb. I know I'm wearing a Ravens jersey, but I'm also a Dallas Cowboys fan. I support 2 teams. There's a reason for it. It's too long-winded to explain, but I support the Ravens and the Cowboys. And I think this was early to pull the trigger on a quarterback, especially because I was trying to play mental gymnastics with the boys and think about who they were going to pick and whether I could get my dogs in the team before they pick them, you know? And with my top 3 options being picked already, I knew Tom would go Saquon because he's a Giants fan. I was not expecting Q to pick Jahmyr Gibbs, and I knew Key would get Ja'Marr. But I didn't want to play no games. With my first pick in the NFL 2025 Fantasy Draft, I picked Lamar Jackson. You know me, I'm about that action. 8 under the 9, that's an improper fraction. Talk to me nice. Lamar Jackson, first round pick, and I got the double. I went with CeeDee Lamb. My 2 favorite players in the NFL right now, and I managed to get them with my first 2 picks in the NFL Fantasy Draft, and I was buzzing with that. It was my top 2 options, my top 2 favorite players in the league, and I got them with my first 2 picks. I was done after that. I was tempted to just close the app and go to bed. This was at 11 p.m. at night, UK time is when we did this draft. I was tempted to let it auto pick because I didn't really care. After getting Lamar and CD, Lamar Jackson's going to be MVP this year. CeeDee Lamb's going to be Offensive Player of the Year this year. I've got money on it. Best believe that. I was happy. That was very long-winded about my own picks. I wish I would have done this with the boys because then I wouldn't have spent so long talking about my own picks. But moving on, it was a snake draft, just to clarify, which is why I got 2 picks. So it was back to Cusick, the Green Bay Packers fan, who just picked a Detroit Lions player. Surely he doesn't pick another player from a division rival. He went with Jay Jettis with the 6th overall pick, Justin Jefferson. So now the Packers fans team so far is a Lions player and a Vikings player. I was waiting for Caleb Williams to go on his next pick. We'll find out who his next pick was in the 3rd round. We go back to Key, who did actually tell me after the draft if I didn't pick CeeDee Lamb in the 1st round, he was going to pick him, which I would have just retaliated by picking Christian McCaffrey because that's his favorite player from his favorite team. Key picks Christian McCaffrey with the 7th pick. We're back to Tom now for the 4th pick in the 2nd round, 8th overall. Tom obviously getting the double pick here. He sorts out his quarterback position. He gets the 2nd best quarterback left available on the board, Josh Allen. Whether that was sparked or prompted by me picking up Lamar, I saw a lot of mock fantasy drafts and I was watching a few guys on YouTube. Shout out to BDGE, I think is the names. I was watching them guys do their draft. A few of them went quarterback early, but a lot of the videos they talk about taking quarterbacks late because you've got the big five quarterbacks being Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, JD5, and Joe Burrow. Outside of them, I feel like it's a toss-up of just whoever you like. And with it being a four-man league, I was tempted to leave quarterback till late, but I did just want to lock up my boy Lamar Jackson. I've got his jersey. It would be rude of me not to get the league MVP in my fantasy team. Tom picks up Josh Allen, though. League MVP from last year, which he shouldn't have been, but let me stop being salty. It's a new season, it's a new dawn, it's a new day. Shout out to Josh Allen. He's 6'4", handsome, has a beautiful wife and family, and like, who am I to hate on that guy? Do you know what I mean? He's a great guy, and I wish I had the same genetic code as him to be that tall. I'm only 5'11". Anyway, still taller than Kyler Murray. Moving on to the third round. Into the third round, after picking a running back and a QB, Tom picks up his wide receiver one with Puka Nacua. I did really like this pick, especially in the third round. That was an early time to take Puka, but that's his wide receiver one right there, and I think Puka is set for a breakout season. Not a breakout season, because we already know about Puka Nacua, but just a big season is what I'm trying to say. It depends on Matt Stafford's back, though. That does concern me a little bit. What's going on with him? I really like the Rams as a team. I think they've got good players both sides of the ball. Matt Stafford, though, that is a big one. Is he real? Is he AI? Is that Matt GPT? That's a big one. Matt GPT is the quarterback, bro. That's a big one. But regardless, I think Puka is just in a prime position over there in LA to just be that guy. They move him around the line, get him in motion, stack formation to create separation so they can get the ball in his hands, and it's just a solid wide receiver one for fantasy football. We're back to Key then for the 10th overall pick, and he picks up a second running back, Derrick Henry. My guy from the Ravens. It was a shame to see him go. He was definitely on my draft board, and if he came back to me after picking a QB and wide receiver, I was definitely thinking about running back next to get a good running back one. Key ends up picking up Derrick Henry, and from there I knew that Key would not be picking a quarterback till late. So he picks up Derrick Henry. We're back to Cusick. Let me remind you about Cusick. Green Bay Packers fan in the NFC North. Rivals with Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings, and obviously the Chicago Bears. His first pick was Jahmyr Gibbs from the Detroit Lions. His second pick, Justin Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings. With his third overall pick, 11th in the draft.
It can't go on like this, can it?
It can.
Cusick, the Green Bay Packers fan, picks up Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Cusick's team is 2 Lions and a Viking. I was fuming at that because I did really want Amon-Ra in my team. He was probably going to be one of my next pick. I was thinking running back receiver on my next double pick here at the end of the third round, start of the fourth. I jumped in straight away with my first running back being Bijan Robinson. Very happy to get Bijan. I'm a big fan of Bijan. And then I took the piss, I can't lie, to pick my first pick of the fourth round because Amon-Ra was going to be it. My plan was to get either Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson, and either Drake London or Amon-Ra St. Brown. And the plan was going to be get one from each team. If I can get Jahmyr Gibbs, I get Drake London. If I get Bijan, I get Amon-Ra St. Brown. That was going to be the plan. Q picked both Lions. So after a long 3 minutes, I think I took, we had 5 minutes per pick on the clock. After a long 5 minutes, I went with Drake London. We went with the double Falcon pick there, Bijan and Drake. And I didn't like that going double Falcons back to back, but I love Drake London. He's an absolute dog. And Bijan Robinson is just him. So let's just hope Michael Penix Jr., who does wear the number 9 on his jersey, let's hope he has an MVP type season because my fancy team will be buzzing because of it. Back to Cusick then, the Green Bay Packers fan. He finally picks a Green Bay player with the 14th overall pick. Cusick selects Josh Jacobs. Absolute dog, fights for every single yard. He's going to get you a touchdown every time he steps on the field. You know it. So, great pick there from Q. I was being lenient, I feel, in this draft. I knew certain players that people would want. I knew Tom would want Saquon, Malik Neighbors, and the Giants defense. I knew Key would want Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. I knew Q was going to take Josh Jacobs. So, I did not consider those players in my draft board because I knew that I was being a nice guy. I was being a good friend. Speaking of good friends, Key picked up Derrick Henry. Good friend. Going back to Key then, he does pick up George Kittle. He went early with a tight end in the 4th round. I was not expecting to see tight ends move in the 4th round, and there aren't that many great tight ends, I'll be honest. So I was hoping tight end would fall to the 5th or 6th round, especially because Key only has one wide receiver, does not have a quarterback yet. I was thinking he would take a receiver or QB here. He goes with George Kittle at tight end, locking in his guy, a great pick. And that sparked a reaction from Tom at the end of the 4th round here to pick up Brock Bowers, which outside of George Kittle on my draft board, Brock Bowers was my number 1 tight end target, who, like I say, I was hoping fell back to me at the end of the 5th round or the start of the 6th. In my little mock draft I did by myself of how I would schedule like each round, I did have tight end for 5th round, so we'll see if I pick one at the end of the 5th. But Tom picks up Brock Bowers, and on the turn, he picks up his boy, Malik Neighbors. 2nd year, he's going to be amazing. He's got Russell Wilson throwing to him, or Jameis Winston, or Jackson Dart, which are all 3 better quarterbacks than he had last year, and Malik still went crazy. Key answers back with the 18th overall pick by picking another 2nd-year wide receiver who I'm a big fan of. This one hurt me too. Brian Thomas Jr. went to Key. That one did hurt because I really do like Brian Thomas. I'm very all in on these 2nd-year guys and rookies, which you'll see a bit later on. Maybe I'm a bit too in on the rookies, but who knows? Now, at this point, Cusick has 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. I'm thinking he might answer with a tight end or even pick his quarterback now. But Q goes with a great pick, 19th overall, Nico Collins. Just a great pick. He's going to get so many targets this year. And I was not expecting Q to go Nico Collins, a player definitely on my draft board. I was a bit 50-50 between Drake London and Nico Collins. I went with Drake London. I feel like now if I would have went Nico Collins there, I could have still got Drake London. I don't think Q or Key or Tom would have picked Drake London, but I didn't want to risk not getting my boy because Drake London's my boy, you know? So I was glad to lock that in anyway. Q gets Nico Collins, great pick. 20th overall. After Kittle and Bowers being taken off the board, it was the end of the 5th round, start of the 6th, where I had it in my mock draft to take a tight end. I went with the next best available option, Trey McBride. Honestly, don't really care about Trey McBride. Not the biggest fan of the Arizona offense, not the biggest fan of Kyler Murray. His game, I'm not as a man, I don't know the guy, but in terms of his game. But I thought it just had to be done, you know? I was really considering Travis Kelce, and I'm a gambling man, as you'll see later on, but would I be willing to take that gamble? Now, the boys did keep joking to me that Kyle Pitts is still on the board. And maybe if I didn't go Drake London Bijan, maybe I could have snagged the Kyle Pitts. But Kyle Pitts in fantasy football, are we still doing this? Let's let it go. Let's let it go, man. So, my current team is a quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 1 running back, and a tight end. I thought this is a good time to get a 2nd running back, because honestly, running back was a position for me that I didn't really have that many players shortlisted for. Very ironic for me to say that. Stay tuned till the end of the draft to find out why I say that. And I go with my first rookie of the draft, Ashton Genty, with the 21st overall pick, first in the 6th round. I get Ashton Genty. He's going to get so many carries this year. He might touch the ball 26 times a game with that Pete Carroll team over there in Vegas. Let's just hope he has a rookie of the year type season. Back to Cusick. He strikes with his first tight end, Tucker Kraft. Obviously being a Green Bay boy, he picks up the Green Bay man. Then we go to Key with the 23rd overall pick. One that surprised me. I was wondering if anyone would take the gamble on this guy. He was on my draft board, but not very high up. But I was considering the gamble. Travisite picks with the 23rd overall pick. Tyreek Hill. Big boy pick. Putting his balls on the table. And speaking of big boy picks, we go back to Tom on the turn. He picks up another wide receiver, Mike Evans. Tom with 3 wide receivers there. Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors, Mike Evans. That's 3 dogs right there. I was very proud to see the absolute amount of dogs that our boys were drafting in this fantasy draft. And Tom only had 1 running back up to this point. So on the turn, he goes to Puka Nacua's teammate, Kyron Williams. Just a solid option. You know, Kyron's going to get so many carries. Another player that fights for every yard that he can get out of each run. And also, Kyron just signed a new contract. So Kyron should be on for a good season here. Back to Key. And we see our first quarterback of the 7th round, Joe Burrow. I'm smoking on Joe Burrow. One of Key's favorite players, and obviously picking up Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase together If one of them eats, both of them are going to eat. So a nice pick to double stack the Bengals right there. Reacting to that, Q picks up his first quarterback. He goes with Jordan Love. Obviously, Love is all you need. It's in his name. It would be wrong if he didn't pick Jordan Love. Back to me then to end the 7th round and start the 8th round. We pick up Chase Brown with the 28th overall pick. Just a solid option. I think Chase Brown, I liked the way he ended the season last year, was getting a lot of carries, a lot of targets as well out of the backfield as a receiving back. Just going to be a solid option for Joe Burrow, especially because that O-line, they've tried to reconstruct it a bit, but the Bengals O-line, I'm not convinced about. So Chase Brown, we could see a lot of check down routes in the passing game for him and a lot of targets from that. Burrow being in trouble, just getting it out his hands to Chase Brown to pick up some extra yards. Obviously in goal line situations too, in the red zone, expect Chase Brown to be on the end of a lot of touchdowns there. So a nice pick for me to pick up in the 7th round. My running back room now being Ashton Genty, Bijan Robinson, and now Chase Brown. On the turn, I went with another rookie. Now, this was a pick where I just didn't really know where to go from here since I had 2 starting running backs, 2 starting receivers, me starting tight end, and me starting quarterback. I didn't know where to go because I'm not really considering dropping any of these guys apart from for their bye week. So I thought this is where I just start drafting more dogs and players that I really like. With Mike Evans being off the table, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their 2nd string wide receiver who could potentially end up being their 1st string target by the end of the season. I went with the guy I predicted to be Rookie of the Year, Emeka Egbuka. I'm very bullish on this guy. He also wears the number 9 jersey, which I didn't find out about until after the draft, but that would have made me draft him maybe even earlier than the 8th round. But I went with Egbuka, and that was probably a bad decision. I probably should have took a defense there, because with the next pick, Cusick, like he said when he drafted them, defense wins championships. He got the Eagles defense. That's when I knew I fucked up, because we go to Key and he picks up the Broncos defense, which was my number 1 defense target, and he knew it. And he took them to spite me, I feel like. But he said, no, it's because I like the Broncos defense, but he doesn't even know about Nick Bonito and Zach Allen. So I think he did that to spite me, but yeah, very disappointed I didn't pick a starting defense there. I thought defense would go way later in the round, honestly, because there were still so many skill position players out there. So I wasn't considering defense in the 8th round. But again, reacting to that, Tom picks up the 49ers defense. So now I'm thinking, fuck me, I've lost 3 big defense options there. Do I go defense when it gets back to me? On the turn, Tom picks up with his 2nd pick, and to start the 9th round, Bucky Irvin. Bucky Irvin, a great rookie season last year for the Buccaneers, and just a good position for him to be in as well, to have another great year with that Buccaneers offense. Back to Key with the 34th overall pick. He gets his backup quarterback, Brock Purdy. That's his guy. I don't know if he's going to be a starter or if Joe Burrow is going to be a starter for the whole year, but being a 49ers fan, I do expect Key to start Brock Purdy, especially when the 49ers play some of these bum-ass teams that they've got on their schedule this year. One of the easiest schedules, one of the biggest Mickey Mouse schedules I've ever seen for the 49ers this year. Cusick surprised me here with the 35th overall pick. He picked a 2nd defense. He picked up the Packers defense, which again, after picking Egbuka, seeing the Eagles and the Broncos defense go, which were my top 2 options, I was very disappointed and very disappointed in myself that I didn't pick a defense. So my next pick was going to be a defense, and it was going to be the Packers, because, like I say, I'm a Cowboys fan, and we've just traded Micah Parsons over there. I want him back. Jerry Jones, why? Why did you do that? Why? Do you know what I mean? So I thought maybe I could have some sort of connection still to Micah if I have him virtually in fantasy football. But Cusick picked back-to-back defenses, so I couldn't. So with the 36th overall pick, I picked another tight end, Colston Loveland. I like to see what Ben Johnson is going to do over there in Chicago. They drafted Loveland this year in the 1st round of the draft, and I think he's going to be a big part of their offense. And if Caleb Williams starts to perform, Colston Loveland could be a dog. But like I say, I've got Trey McBride as my starter. Tight end position, again, I'm not really interested in. Not really interested in at all. But hopefully Colston Loveland can have a breakout year, and that's 3 rookies in my team right now. So on the turn to start the 10th round, I get a 4th rookie and another running back. It's Travion Henderson. That takes us up to 4 running backs already.
My granny called, she said, Travi, you work too hard. I'm worried you forget about me.
And we pick up the boy from the Patriots, Travion Henderson. Another guy I am putting forward for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think he could have a great season over in New England. The Patriots might have a great season, possibly make the playoffs. I would like to see it. And I understand there's great players on the board still in the wide receiver and the running back position. I'm going with rookies, but like I say, I'm a gambling man. I like to bet on these underdogs. You know what I mean? And I hope one of them hits big. That's just what I'm a gambler. You know, what can I say? Speaking of big players still on the board, in the 10th round, Cusick picks up James Cook. Great season last year for him, for touchdowns especially, just a fantasy gem, 4 points. Into Key's pick, the 39th overall pick, he picks up Devon Achane. Another big player for fantasy. He's going to get so many touches. At this point now, Key had Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill. I thought he was going to take Tua with his next pick. 2 offensive players from the Miami Dolphins. He's betting on losing dogs, in my opinion. Now, so far, Cusick has picked 2 Lions and 1 Viking from his division rivals. Me and Key have steered clear of our division rivals. And on the turn, at the end of the 10th to start the 11th, the Giants fan Tom picks AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts. What a double pickup that is. The fact Jalen Hurts was still on the board here is diabolical from us. But AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts from a Giants fan is crazy work. That's diabolical in itself. I do need a backup quarterback. It's in the back of my mind. But now that Jalen Hurts was gone, who was going to be my backup, there's one other name, and it's another division rival for the Cowboys that I was thinking of. We'll see if I can get him later on in the draft. With the 42nd overall pick, he went a bit out of left field, I thought, with DK Metcalf. Metcalf, I can see the upside to him. He's going to get a lot of targets this year from A-Rod. He's going to be A-Rod's number 1 receiver, but just a player that was not on my draft board. So, Keith, fair play, do what you will with him. But with the 43rd overall pick, Cusick, who just has Jordan Love at the minute, fills out his quarterback room with Jaden Daniels. That was the guy I wanted for my backup quarterback, and he's gone. JD5 has gone to Cusick. So now, again, this was a position for me to take my backup quarterback. Last round, I should have took a defense, but all the defense were gone. This round, I should have took a backup quarterback, but my 2 backup quarterback options went in this round. Maybe going last was not the best position for me to be in. Saying that, though, I picked up 5 rookies or something already, which I could have gone with JD5 or Jalen Hurts before, and Mika Egbuka, or Colston Loveland, or Travion Henderson. But like I said, this is not about winning. For me, this is about vibes. This is about picking up dogs. And speaking of dogs, with the 44th overall pick, I pick up the Ravens defense. Malachi Starks, watch out for him. Defensive player of the year. Just a solid secondary. Solid. Roquan Smith is an absolute dog. The D-line, we're going to get sacks this year big time. Kyle Van Noy, if he can go crazy again this year, man, what a joy to watch he was last year. And on the turn, I picked up another Raven. I went with Tyler Loop, another rookie to add to my team, but a rookie that I'm very excited for, and hopefully he can be better than the guy he's replacing and keep his hands to himself, unlike the guy he's replacing, allegedly. Back to Q, and I'm surprised this guy didn't go earlier, especially to Key when he picked DK Metcalf in the last round. I thought he might have gone with this guy. Cusick picks up with the 46th overall pick, Ladidi McConkey, Lad McConkey, cool white boy, going to another cool white boy. You know, it's appropriate that Cusick is his manager. Now, my 2 kicking options, I'll be real, because who cares about kickers? It was Tyler Loop and Brandon Aubrey. You know, the kicker for the Ravens, the kicker for the Cowboys, my 2 teams that I support. He picks up with the 47th overall pick, Brandon Aubrey. Now, I don't know what this guy's doing, but now he's picked up Brandon Aubrey, he's picked up the Broncos defense. 2 things that I've discussed with this man in real life. Chat, should I punch him up in real life next time I see him? Let me know in the comments below. I feel like he's doing this to spite me, but just a great option. Brandon Aubrey, what a kicker he is, what a leg he's got. And to end off the 12th round, Tom picks up Mark Andrews, which sparked a very loud reaction from Crabasite, who could not stop crying laughing with this pick. Not at the pick, because Mark Andrews is obviously a good tight end and he's going to get you points. But just Key was laughing because he was reminded about the drop catch against the Bills, which I completely put out of my mind, but Key wanted to bring it back up. So, yeah. That sends us into the 13th round. There's only 15 rounds in the draft, so stay with me now. We're getting towards the end. I know this has been a long video, but on the turn, after picking up Mark Andrews, Tom finally picks up the Giants defense. I left it on the board for him. I knew he wanted it because of Abdul Carter. And there we go. The Giants should get a lot of sacks this year, man. They've got some solid players on that D-line all across it with Dexter Lawrence, Sexy Dexy, and you've got Thibodeau on the other side. Like, what a defense they have. So shout out to Tom for getting his Giants in there. I love to see it for him with Malik Neighbors too, and obviously Saquon with the first overall pick. 50th overall pick, Key picks up the Chiefs defense. Now he has the Broncos and the Chiefs. I think he's doing this on purpose, so I don't have anything left to take as a backup. Cusick picks up another Lion. Who'd have thought it? It's Sam Laporta. So now Q, the Packers fan, let's just make this clear. He's a Green Bay Packers fan, has Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta. Crazy work from Q. I answered back with the last pick in the 13th round by picking up a division rival. The best receiver that was still on the board. Just got a new contract. High upside. I couldn't get JD5 as my backup QB, so I picked up his number one target, Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry. New contract. He's gonna go crazy this year. Entering the 14th round on the turn, I pick up another rookie and a 5th running back. Omarion Hampton. What a dog. What a guy. Jim Harbaugh's gonna make this guy into a Hall of Famer. I'm sure he's seen him in the dream alongside Justin Herbert. But man, I was surprised this guy fell, but I think the other boys weren't really interested in the rookies. They just wanted the established players who, you know, are league proven. There's always the risk with rookies. Are they going to do well? But that brings my rookie total to 5, maybe 6. 6. It's 6 rookies. Colston Loveland, Tyler Loop, Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Emeka Egbuka, and Ashton Genty. That's 6 rookies in my fantasy team. But like I say, I love to gamble. And one of these guys might hit big. And yeah, I also realize at this point that I do not have a backup quarterback. And I only have 1 pick left to get my backup quarterback. So we'll see who that is with the final pick of the draft. Moving on though, back to Q. He picks up Cam Little from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Key picks up Cam Dicker. I barely know her, from the Chargers. Harrison Butker goes to Tom. And that ends the NFL draft pretty much for the serious picks. Because into our 15th and final round, this is where the laughter started in the Discord. Tom picks up Jake Moody, the kicker for the 49ers, which sent Key into a spiral of laughs. And for his final pick in the draft, 58th overall, he picked up Kyle Juszczyk, who I didn't even know was on the game. I didn't realize fullbacks were even in the system. But he picked up a fullback with his final overall pick. Cusick ends with Tyler Bass, which is just a solid pick. You know, that's nothing to laugh about there. Then with the 60th and final pick, the 4th pick in the 15th round, I selected my backup quarterback, Caleb Williams. And that's going to end off our 2025 NFL draft. Let us know in the comments below who you think did best. But I mentioned earlier on that one of us was getting clowned for an hour in the Discord after the draft was over. That guy was me, because we went through each other's list to be like, oh, who got the best wide receiver room? Who got the best running back room? And we realized that my running back room was full, bro. No one could even get in to see who was in there, because I drafted 5 running backs. And after saying early on in the draft, I don't have that many running backs on my list. And once Saquon went and Jahmyr Gibbs went, I didn't really know who to take. I ended up with 5 running backs, and 3 of them are rookies, which the boys found absolutely hilarious and sparked some of the funniest memes that I've seen in a long time. It was just funny because these were trashy memes. These were old school memes that aren't even funny anymore. And some of them were so low quality and low effort from us because we were laughing so much. We just wanted to make them quick and throw them in the Discord, that it turned out to be one of the funniest nights ever, bro. We also established at the end of the draft that I did not pick a backup defense or backup kicker. And my kicker and defense are both from the same team. So being the Ravens. So on the Ravens bye week, I'm just going to have no kicker and no defense, and I have no one to sub them in for. So that sparked Key to throw this meme in the chat, picking up a backup kicker or defense, or picking another running back. I also joked about dropping Caleb Williams to pick up another running back. So that sparked this meme. Again, like I say, these are just old school meme templates, which are just not funny, but at the time, it's one of those you had to be there moments. And for some reason, it got changed along the way from me having 5 running backs to 6 running backs, which made the jokes even funnier because I had 5. I don't know where the 6 came from, but they just kept coming in. And on the screen now, you'll just see a montage of memes. A 6 running back has hit Scott's team. Assistant coach say we need a backup kicker. Scott, the best I can do is another running back. This one sent me into a spiral when I'm in a running back competition and my opponent is Scott. This is ridiculous. Charles Barkley, we are going to start a dialogue. We are going to draft 6 running backs. Even Anakin was in on the jokes. You'll draft another position now, right? Right? Surely he doesn't go for 6 running backs. Oh man, some of these were just great. Like, what a night to have with the boys. I can't wait to do it all over again next year. Let me know in the comments below who you thought had the best draft. And while we're here and still showcasing some of the running back memes, let me read out what NFL Fantasy actually said about my draft. Because afterwards, they sent me a little email. I'm afraid I don't have the boys' emails on hand to tell you what they got told by the NFL. So it says, eyeing a championship, Nameless Dogs emphasizes the running game. With 5 running backs. Our draft grade was an A-. Projected record this season is 11-4 and projected finish number 1. What can I say? Our draft summary. Picking last in the draft, Nameless Dogs used their draft slot to their advantage, building a team with championship expectations. They didn't overload at any one position early on. That early on saved them there, because if that just said they didn't overload at one position and I've got 5 running backs, that was crazy. But instead focusing on balance by drafting a quarterback, running back, and wide receiver and tight end within their first 5 picks, by the draft end, Nameless Dogs secured the top foursome of running backs in the league. Now, I did not understand why it said that, the top foursome of running backs, because I thought that would be Saquon Barkley, Jameer Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry. I only got one of those 4. So were they saying Ashton Genty, Bijan Robinson, Omarion Hampton, and Travion Henderson are a top foursome? I'll take it. I'll take the compliment. I don't even know who my 3rd running back was. Chase Brown. Shout out to him. He's also in the room. I think there's a bunch of other people in the room that I forgot about because that running back room is full. There was also Tyler Loop in the kicker room because I didn't draft a backup kicker. Oh man, what a night that was though, and that was just so fun. Let me know in the comments below, who do you think had the best draft class out of the 4 boys? If you watch us on the NFL Pick Show weekly, where we do our predictions for the ESPN Pick'em, we're going to talk briefly about our fantasy teams as we go through the season too, so stay tuned for that. Let us know in the comments below as well, who was your number 1 overall pick this year in your fantasy football draft? I'm very interested to see who people take number 1 overall. So let me know that in the comments below, and if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know the vibes. Dreamers Country, let's ride. I'll see you on Thursday to start the NFL season. Let's get it, people, man.